political leader in the last 50 years? Oh, you know, we've had a shortage. I got to tell you, we've had a pretty bad shortage of leadership for a long time, I think, in this country. You know, with things have been happening, spending and our freedoms and everything else. Let's see. Political leaders. One political leader that I have a lot of respect for is Ron Paul. I think Ron Paul, even though I don't agree on everything that Ron Paul stands for, he really got it right on a lot of issues. I think he got it right on the Fed. I think he got it right on spending. I think he got it right on a lot of economic issues. So that's probably one of the top people on the list.
All right, thank you. First time I've laughed all day, too. Thank you. You have 1 minute for this question, Bob. In what specific ways would you help to support and unite the Republican Party in this district?
I follow the Constitution. I think that's one thing that is really critical in our party and in our state is we really have kind of a fractured party. We have kind of the Ron Paul thing going. We kind of have the Tea Party thing going. We kind of have the mainstream Republican Party thing going. And I think a lot of the problems with the way we've been fractured is we have people that really haven't followed the Constitution like they should. So I think the answer to uniting this party and moving our conservative principles forward is to follow that Constitution. And remember, the federal government is limited by the Constitution, and the rest of it is reserved to the states. And that's how it should work. That's how it was meant to work. That will unite the party, and that will unite conservatives.
All right, Bob, you have 2 minutes for this question, or for this answer of this question. You're welcome. Given the 8th District's vulnerability to natural disasters, what will be your approach to funding for FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers with our current budget crisis?
Well, I think we've got to look real hard at a lot of the funding. I have real problems with the funding that they just did with Hurricane Sandy, $50-some million filled with pork up there. I think we have to look real hard at how we're funding our agencies and go back to just common sense and a lot of self-reliance. The federal government should be limited in some of the things that it does. It can't provide all the answers for everybody. That's why I buy insurance on my house. That's why I, lay in supplies for a rainy day and keep money in my checking account if I can. To personal responsibility. That's kind of what our party was supposed to be built on, right? And not look to government to supply all of our needs. So I have a real problem with everything that happens, every natural disaster that happens, look to the government for another big bailout. I think we need to get away from that as much as we can. And by the way, even if it was the right thing to do, we're broke, folks. Where does this money come from? Where did the $50 billion come from to bail out, back east? It's wonderful to give all this money away, but you always got to remember, anytime you're giving money to somebody, you're taking it out of somebody else's pocket. Government doesn't create anything. It's hard-working people busting their chops somewhere, making money is what's producing that money that the government seems to just spend and throw away with abandon. Thank you.
Okay, Bob, 2 minutes for this one. What is your position on reauthorizing the 2008 Farm Bill? And be specific, it did expire September 30th, 2012. What is your position on reauthorization?
I haven't gone into great depth on the Farm Bill. That thing was kicked around so many different ways. I haven't looked. Again, and I'll just give you my general philosophy on the Farm Bill. I think the Farm Bill includes a lot of things. I mean, my family farms. I grew up on a farm. I grew up on a row crop farm. Many of my family still row crop farm. And I think we need to transition and get the government out of farming as much as we can. I farm. I run cattle. I'm not in any program. I'm not getting any special deal. There are some farmers that do have special deals in the Farm Bill. I think we've got to cut a lot of that stuff out. I'm sorry, I just think government's gotten too big, and we look to the government to take care of all of our problems. I think farmers want to get money from the market. That's what I want to do as a farmer. I want to get money from the market, and we've seen the markets consolidate in beef and grain and everything else. We've seen that consolidation. We've seen trade deals that have really hurt our farmers and hurt our producers. So I think we need to get back to those kinds of things to solve the problems. Again, we don't have the money to do this kind of big government programs forever. It's, you know, time is not on our side.
Hey, Bob, 2 minutes for your answer on this one as well. How would you support economic development in our 8th district?
Good question. You know, we have a lot of candidates running here. Missouri has got some of the, you know, one of the worst business climates of any of the states. You know that? Southern Missouri has a really tough business climate. We have, let's go out and run a business like I have. Try to do something to run a business, and you'll get the alphabet soup of federal agencies that step in that want to control you. You got a tax burden. You have the uncertainty. You don't know what tomorrow is going to hold for you or your business or your family. I mean, those things need to be addressed. We need to, you know, we need to work on the business climate instead of coming up with special deals like the China Hub and you know, Eritropoulos up there and crony capitalism kind of a deal. We need to level the playing field for everybody and provide a good work environment for everybody. So that will stimulate the economy to get government off the neck of businesses and people out there trying to produce. And remember, it's people that produce wealth. I mean, you know, all wealth comes from the earth. And we grow it, we mine it, and we add value to it. That's where wealth comes from. It doesn't come from big government.
Amen. This is your last question tonight, Bob. You have 1 minute. Washington seems to be in gridlock. When, if ever, is it appropriate to compromise?
I'll answer it this way. You know, I'm a farm boy. I've got a lot of fences on my farm. I farm about 630 acres. I have a lot of fences to take care of. And I've described compromise this way. I can compromise on how I build my fence between me and my neighbor. You know, is it going to be 4 strands or 5 strands or gaucho wire or red brand or you know, steel posts or wood posts, or how far apart they're going to be? We can compromise on those kinds of things. But it's where that fence goes that we have to stop compromising. When we keep moving those fences in and getting less and less of our freedom as we compromise and compromise and compromise, like I said one night, pretty soon you're just mowing your yard and you've lost the farm. And I'm done, and I think you're done with that kind of compromise.
Bob, we'll now have your closing statement. If you would, please, you have 1.5 minutes.
Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.
It's really good to be here with you guys tonight. It's great to see y'all. I've seen all of you, most of you, over the last 4 years that I've run around this district. Again, I'm not a professional politician. I don't have a staff of speechwriters. You know, I get up and share my heart. And we're in trouble. We're really in trouble. I see people hurting all across this district. I see things that the government's doing that are absolutely insane. And I want to change that. You know, people talk about tonight that they're fighters. Well, I've been the only one in this race for 4 years talking about the bailouts and big government and how to control spending. We've had meetings all across this district about farm issues and the way we're being impacted by the government. And frankly, I haven't seen a lot of these people that are up here wanting to run for office involved in those fights and in those meetings. I wasn't paid to do those kinds of things. I did it because I am really tired of having this out-of-control government control our lives in ways that none of us can take anymore. I strongly believe in the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is the foundation that all the rest of our freedom